With titles like Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring making headlines for all the right reasons, there's no doubt that 2022 has already been a fantastic year for the gaming industry, and you might be surprised to hear that many more adventure games are set to hit store shelves in the days to come. But which of these should we mark our calendars for? And why are they so anticipated? For all this and more, stay tuned. First of all, let's take a look at Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. For those of you who've been living behind a rock for the past few decades, Avatar still stands as one of the most popular movies of all time. And while this would not be the first time that James Cameron's masterpiece was adapted into a video game, it looks like Massive Entertainment have finally secured the feel of the blockbuster film in their own title. So it's really no surprise that Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is one of the most anticipated action-adventure games of the year. According to reports, the Ubisoft developer will be making the game available to play sometime this year. That is, unless things go wrong again and have the title delayed to March of 2023, you also don't need to worry about Frontiers of Pandora coming with any sort of exclusivity deal that may spoil your fun. According to Massive Entertainment, the game will be available to buy on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Although not much is known about the game just yet, it sounds like players will be following the Na'vi as they fight to keep Pandora safe, similar to what you saw from the tribe on the big screen back in 2009. Massive Entertainment has also hinted at the title taking on the role of an action-adventure game with certain RPG elements, something we really should have expected considering how the last franchise spearheaded by the developer was The Division. Suffice to say, we can't wait to explore Pandora again. If you wanted something a little darker though, Hellblade 2 is a solid choice. This is the highly anticipated sequel to Hellblade's Senua's Sacrifice, which is absolutely one of the most unique games we've ever laid our hands on. Released back in August of 2017 to critical acclaim, the game focused on the singular adventures of a young Celtic warrior by the name of Senua. What really sets her apart from other protagonists is that she suffers from a psychosis that causes her to hear whispers and suffer hallucinations while exploring the world. It's something we didn't know we wanted, but Ninja Theory did one heck of a job bringing this title to us, especially considering how the developer consisted of around 20 people at the time. And according to reports, 2022 will be the year which sees the sequel, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, reaching stores for the first time. And if the hype from the latest trailer is anything to go by, there's no doubt that the second Hellblade title is going to be a massive win for Ninja Theory. Whether you're the owner of an Xbox or PC, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is most certainly a title you will be looking forward to. The developer has also mentioned that the sequel will be more action-centered than its predecessor, a welcoming remark considering how many gamers wanted to see just what Senua was capable of, and since there's so many creatures from Norse mythology to draw from, we can't wait to see what Senua is facing off against this time. And then there's something for the Pottermore fans in Hogwarts Legacy, a game that's been in development with Avalanche Software for more than a few years now, but according to the latest State of Play trailer, we won't have to wait much longer, as Hogwarts Legacy is set to release in the holiday period of 2022, and by the looks of things, the Wizarding World is going full RPG with this title. According to reports, each player will have the ability to create their own character around which the plot of the game will revolve. Fans of the series shouldn't be expecting too many familiar faces though, as the story arc is actually set in the 1800s before any of our favorite characters were even born. Like the majority of Harry Potter games, you'll have the ability to explore every nook and cranny of Hogwarts, but Warner Bros. Interactive have also let us know that more areas will become discoverable as the story progresses. This doesn't just include secretive areas in the castle, but famous places like Hogsmeade as well. In other words, Hogwarts Legacy seeks to put the player in the position of an ordinary student attending the school for witchcraft and wizardry, only to discover that they're actually paramount to the defense of the magical world. We won't give too much away, but it might have something to do with a magical goblin uprising of sorts. So get ready to brew some potions and play some Quidditch, as Hogwarts Legacy is looking to be an impressive RPG. Speaking of impressive, God of War Ragnarok is another anticipated 2022 release. And although it's a PlayStation exclusive, there's no singular game that has more hype than this Santa Monica Studio-driven sequel. For those of you who don't know, Sony rebooted this franchise back in April of 2018 by bringing the titular hero Kratos into the world of Norse mythology. This was a massive change of direction, not only because God of War games were remembered as nothing more than hack-and-slash titles in ancient Greece, but because this time around, Kratos was going to be a father, and boy did it work. Players and critics alike joined with Kratos and Atreus across the 9 realms of Norse cosmology, only to later discover that Atreus was none other than the reincarnation of Loki. And since it is Loki who was thought to be behind Ragnarok, it goes without saying that things are about to get tough for the father-son duo. As the title of the sequel suggests, the world we came to love in the first installment is set to come to an end, and it's no doubt up to our heroes to either stop it from happening or make sure that the old gods go down with them. Lovers of Norse mythology will also be happy to know that Thor is now on Kratos' tail. And since we took out Thor's half-brother Balder towards the end of the first game, there's no doubt that the God of Thunder has a bone to pick with us. So exciting. There's also a new DC game set to release called Gotham Knights. But despite what you might think, there's no Batman this time around. According to reports, Gotham Knights will pick up from one of the darkest timelines in the history of the city, which saw the Caped Crusader perish after saving the world from some nefarious plan. And as you can imagine, the disappearance of the Bat is all Gotham's underworld needed to really ramp things up. It's up to the other members of the family to save the city from itself in the wake of this disaster, which means that players will be able to pick up the slack by controlling the likes of Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood. If Warner Bros. Montreal are to be believed, each and every character will possess their own set of moves, including some rather special abilities. And when it comes to the villains of the latest installment, it sounds like fans will finally see the first iteration of the Court of Owls and their infamous assassin known as the Talons. The gameplay looks to be a cross between previous Batman games and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is honestly something we didn't know we wanted until now. And the Court of Owls, rumored to be involved, we have a feeling that things are going to get a lot creepier than we originally expected. So we can't wait to see more. Last but not least, who can forget about Breath of the Wild 2? The first Breath of the Wild game is still referred to as one of the greatest RPGs in the history of the industry. Something we saw recently when critics couldn't help themselves but comparing the open world of Elden Ring to the 2017 masterpiece. So when Nintendo closed out their 2019 E3 event spot by announcing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be a thing, the fanbase couldn't help but throw their hands up in excitement. While not much has been said in respect of this anticipated installment, we have no doubt that it will share everything that made the previous action-adventure RPG enjoyable to play. So expect to join Link and Zelda as they work to save the kingdom of Hyrule from another dastardly foe. And by the look of things, the threat might actually come from deep below the realm this time around. If there was ever a time to buy the Nintendo Switch, it's now, as you won't want to miss out on the brilliance of Breath of the Wild 2. And there you have it, just some of the best adventure releases the game industry has in store for us this year. What are you more excited to play though? And did we forget about any other titles? Be sure to let us know in the comments section down below.